So today we are going to be painting this turquoise bookshelf white. It was one of my friend's pieces. She wanted me to redo it for them. As you can see on the right side, one of the little feet is missing. So I'm gonna fix that and then we're gonna dust it off. You can see that beautiful layer of dirt thanks to our weather. And so we're gonna put the leg on and then dust it off and then we'll get to painting. So I made a couple of indentions in the wood so when I go to screw the nail in, it'll sit flushed in there, kind of like, oh my gosh, excuse this mess, I'm gonna clean it, but kind of like the others, how they're flushed in there, so that way it doesn't stick out once we screw in. So the drill died mid-screw, so I'm just gonna set it back up while the battery charges and I'll clean the bottom and then I'll kind of go through the process of how we're gonna do this and get started at least painting on it. I would definitely recommend, actually, if there's something you need to fix it first and then paint it, but in my situation, since the battery died on the drill, we're gonna do the opposite. So, but it'll be fine. At the end, we'll make it look like it was there all along, so it won't matter. Okay, so what you'll need today for your supplies to paint is a Diet Dr. Pepper, for sure. You'll need some paper towels to clean up, and then my favorite brush is gonna be this Cling On brush. It is amazing. I literally don't use any other brush. It's amazing for showing little to no brush strokes, and the coverage is amazing as well. It's also a great blending brush if I'm gonna be using multiple colors, so we'll definitely be using that. And then today I'm gonna be using Plaster Paint, this brand. I have Ivory Lace, and then actually, I don't know if anyone has used Plaster Paint, but they have a paint called One Step, and it's truly not just one step, it really just saves you a step because it has the sealer in the paint, which is amazing. The only downfall from that is that they say you need to wait at least 6 to 8 hours in between coats because it has the sealer in it. So I'm impatient and I don't like to wait that long. I like to knock my projects out in one day, essentially. So what I'm gonna be doing is do a couple of base coats with Ivory Lace, and then my last coat I'm gonna be going over with One Step Whitewash. It's essentially the same color. I could have ordered Ivory Lace in a One Step, but I didn't wanna wait. Again, I didn't wanna wait, I'm impatient. And you'll be able to tell, like they are almost identical. So I'm gonna be doing that since it has the sealer in it, and I will essentially just use that as my last coat and then let it dry overnight and then check it out the next day and it should be perfect. So let's get started. First thing is first, we are going to need to pretty much wash and get rid of all of the dirt on this piece. You can see it's pretty dirty. So what I always do is I just get a soapy wet rag and I always wipe down my pieces before I start painting them. That way there aren't any extra oils or dirt, unless you're wanting the extra texture. Then I wouldn't dust it off, but in this case we're gonna want a smooth, clean finish, something super simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get a soapy wet rag, wash it off really quickly, and then I go ahead and rinse it, get all the soap suds off of it, and then once it's dry, then we can go ahead and start painting. I prefer to use Dawn soap because, of course, it is known to get rid of oils, and it's just a great soap that the average person also has in their home. So it just makes it easier to use something that you already have. You don't need any type of special soap or additive to clean your piece unless it is needed. And there are certain pieces in the world that you may be redoing, and they just need that extra help with removing whatever it is it may have on it. So I went ahead and started on the first coat. Oh, there's a little bug. There's a little bug on my piece. Sorry, little guy. You gotta go. Anyways, I started on the first coat just so y'all could see what the first coat tends to look like. It's pretty ugly. So on your first coat, just don't freak out, because if you're a newbie and you start, you're probably gonna wonder if you're doing it wrong or why the heck it is so ugly and streaky at first. But that's totally normal, especially with whites. White in general is gonna be harder to cover than any other shade. So just kind of keep that in mind. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the first coat, and it's drying super fast because it's super hot where we live. I have the garage door open, so let some fresh air in here so I don't die and melt away. But we'll just start finishing up the first coat. And I went ahead and it's always important to do the bottoms, just so it's finished and you won't have to worry about it showing, or especially if it's for a client, you definitely want to make sure that the whole thing is good to go. So I'm gonna finish her up. So I'm going to show y'all on this side what one coat looks like as I'm painting it. Just get a little bit on the tip of your brush and just start painting away. The cool thing about chalk paint is that it's super thick, so the coverage is really well. Of course, like I said before, this is white. White is gonna be a little, sorry, I'm like trying to hold the camera and paint at the same time, but white is gonna be harder to cover anything in general. So you're gonna have to keep that in mind. You might have to do an extra coat of white, and it also depends on the brand you use, which I've noticed with Plaster Paint. I generally have to use 3, sometimes 4 coats, depending on how dark the piece is that I'm covering. So definitely depends on the brand, I think. But the coverage is still really good. The key with chalk paint is that you really just want to lay the paint on your piece. You really don't want to go over and over the same spot, because that will spread the paint out, and that is not our goal. We want as much coverage as possible. And I usually try to go with the grain of the wood. Get, like right under there. Guess that little leg looks like it's about to come off too. This piece is just kind of sad in general, but we're still gonna make it pretty. Get those guys up. And then the trim. And then I'm still waiting on my drill battery to be charged to screw that other leg back in. But that is one solid coat of Ivory Lace. It is gonna be like a, it's an off-white for sure. It's not gonna be a pure white like my shoes, I would say it's definitely gonna be a little off, but I'm gonna let that side dry and start on the other side. We're gonna start our second coat. Okay, so this has 2 coats of the regular Ivory Lace on there. Definitely better coverage. You can see my little fingerprints, so don't mind those little spots, but this is 2 coats. Looks pretty good so far. I'll show you this side facing the sun. It's pretty good. So now what we're gonna do is start on our last and final coat, which is the whitewash 1-step. Again, it has the sealer already in it, which is awesome, and show y'all what that looks like. So here are what the 2 shades look like. This one is the regular, and then this one is the 1-step, and they are pretty freaking close. The only reason why this one looks so much different right now, honestly, is because it's not as full. But if it was just as full as this one, I mean, you would really be able to tell that they are so similar, especially like that is so close. So like I said, I didn't order the 1-step of true Ivory Lace, but it's practically its twin is the whitewash. And once I get it on the piece, you won't be able to tell at all. So that's what we're gonna get started on. Okay, and that is coat 3. So I'm gonna let that dry, and then if there are any spots that I need to hit, just to touch up on, like I know right in the corners I see some, but besides that, just letting it dry. That's why doesn't really look that even yet, because a lot of spots are still drying. But once it's dry to the touch, I will give y'all another look. Here we go. Okay, and as y'all can see, I have the little foot on there. So got that on there after my drill battery was all charged up. I definitely, like I said in the beginning of the video, would recommend actually putting that on first before painting and then doing that last. But the situation was backwards, but that's okay. Still got it done. But this was just a super simple paint technique. I mean, it was literally from one paint color to another. Didn't have to do any sand work. Literally just rinsed it off, got all the little dust bunnies out of it, and it was good to go. I painted the bottoms of the shelves, so it just looks cleaner, and you know, if anyone's moving it around and they just see that the bottom is still turquoise, that doesn't look good as a painter. So just make sure you cover all of your crooks and crannies. So but yeah, like I said, this was super simple. If y'all have any questions about the paint or how I did it or which brush I used, just let me know and I can tell you everything. But we'll have more videos to come, more complex videos, more techniques coming, and if y'all have any ideas or recommendations or colors you want to see, just comment down below and I can definitely try them out. But that's it, y'all. Something super simple. If you want to start out, if you're a newbie, you could definitely do this in a couple of hours like I did. You don't need any experience at all. So but that's it for today, and we'll see what we have in store for our next piece.